So what are the benefits of training for strength and hypertrophy for the everyday person, for the athlete, for the recreational exerciser, and so on?
There's a wonderful saying. I think it was Bill Bowerman, one of the founders of Nike. And he always said, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And I think that's very important for people to understand, because one of the major disservices we've done in this field is convince people that things like strength training are for athletes or for growing bigger muscles. And cardiovascular training are for things like fat loss and heart health. And that is a tremendous disservice, because it puts a lot of unnecessary barriers and leads to a lot of false assumptions, and then therefore poor actions. Classic examples of this are people who are resistant to strength training because they don't want to put on too much muscle. People who only perform one type of exercise because they want, say, fat loss, or they're in it for longevity and health, and they're not worried about, being an athlete. And so right out the gates, we can actually draw it back a little bit to our previous conversation when I walked you through the history of exercise science. And the reason I did that is to help you understand these are the railroads that you're running down and you don't even realize it. In terms of, everyone thinks of strength training and they immediately default to our principles to optimize muscle growth. And that's not the only adaptation one should be after with strength training. When we think of endurance training, we immediately default to things like, again, cardiovascular health or fat loss or things like that. What I really want to do across this entire series and conversations is to just break that immediately. Talk about all the other things that you can do with your training, and so that people can be comfortable and confident in doing an optimal training program for whatever goal they have, whether that be specific, like growing muscle, or non-specific, like just feeling better, having more energy, being more prepared for life and longevity. And so to directly answer your question, we could do 100 episodes on the benefits of exercise, and we could run all the way from mood and focus, cognitive tasks, to a better immune function. You'll get less colds. You'll fight them off more effectively, to mortality, right? So some of the strongest predictors of how long and how well you will live are exercise. However, there are independent benefits that come from just endurance training, and there are independent benefits that come from strength training. And so to just give you one categorically, the way that you want to think about this is resistance exercise and strength training is the number one tool to combat neuromuscular aging. You cannot get that through any other form of exercise besides heavy overload strength training. And we can walk through in detail what that is, but that is reason number one. In general, human movement is a function of, number one, some sort of neuromuscular activation. So nerves have to turn on. The second part is muscles have to contract. And the third part is those muscles have to move a bone. All right. If you want to be alive and you want to live by yourself, you have to be able to engage in human movement. If you have any dysfunction in the neuromuscular system there, then you're not going to be able to do that. And again, as I mentioned, the only way to preserve that or fight that loss of aging is to strength train. So people will tend to hear numbers like you lose about 1% of muscle size per year after age about 40. And that's true. However, what they don't realize is you lose about 2 to 4% of your strength per year. So the loss of strength is almost double that, the loss of muscle mass with aging. Muscle power is more like 8 to 10% per year. And so we can very clearly see the problem you're going to have with aging is not going to be preservation of muscle, although that is incredibly important. It's going to be very specifically preservation of muscle power and strength. And why that really matters is your ability to, again, stand up and move, your ability to catch yourself from a fall, your ability to feel confident doing a movement. That is a function of muscle power more than it is muscle size. And so functionality is really what we want to be, right? You want to be able to do whatever you want to do physically and feel confident in doing that as you age. That's going to only be obtained through strength training.
So is it appropriate to say that training for strength and hypertrophy is also a way to keep your nervous system healthy and young?
Yeah, absolutely. It is the only exercise route we have for that. If you look at just basic numbers like motor units, you're going to see that older individuals have like a 30 to 40% reduction in total motor units.
So when you say older, approximately what ages are you referring to? Because I know many people out there, such as myself, are 40 and older, but I know many of our listeners are in their 20s, maybe even in their teens. And I can imagine that people that start doing strength and hypertrophy training younger will afford themselves an advantage over time, but that everybody should be doing strength and hypertrophy training for as much of their lifespan as possible. That's really the message that I'm getting. So if somebody is, for instance, 45, would that fall into the bin of older?
You're going to start seeing decrements past, again, around that age of 40 or so. Now, there's a lot of genetic variation there, and a lot of other things go into that equation, like your sleep and your nutrition. But that's a fair number to sort of think about. One actually response is, it's actually sort of counterintuitive. The wonderful thing about strength training is you don't actually have to start at a young age. You can actually, in fact, I was reading a paper this morning because of our previous conversation. It was in over age 90. So these are folks 90 plus, and they saw improvements like 30 to 170% in things like muscle size and hypertrophy over a very short period of time. I think it was 12 weeks. So you don't actually have to start. There are some adaptations that you're going to need for health that you really need to start in your 20s. The reason I like to mention that is because if you are listening and you are 50 and you're like, oh shit, I haven't been strength training, you're not toast. Like, you should absolutely start now. But you're going to be able to get to a fantastic spot very quickly. Similarly, though, if you are 20 or 25 and 30 and you aren't lifting, there are still many reasons why you should do that now. And I'd like to point that out, because a lot of folks will be like, oh my gosh, they said I have to do it when I'm 20 or 25, or, I'll be sort of screwed. And that's not the case at all. There's really no age limit on this. In fact, there's actually interesting data that just came out showing this reduction in muscle strength and hypertrophy that I sort of talked about is basically ameliorated with a preservation of activity. In other words, you don't lose these functionalities because of aging. You lose these because of a loss of training. To state that again, you don't lose these because of some innate physiological thing that happens with genes become less sensitive or you lose functionality. You pretty much can describe the loss of function of strength and muscle in aging as exclusively because of a loss of training and nutrition and anabolic resistance and some other things. So you can do a lot more than you think when it comes to maintaining high quality muscle. And that's really important to point out.